Still practicing gem nights?
Yeah.
Did you hear about the pro play games list?
No.
Did you see what they did?
If they banned the top 2 decks, I don't care.
They banned Block Dragon.
I quit Yu-Gi-Oh! This game wasn't meant to be played with 2 players.
Good afternoon, Jank enthusiasts. I'm MBT, and this is 10-Minute Testing. Regardless of your feelings on the PPG list, whether you're for the toppling of Konami's oppressive grip over the metagame, or anti-PPG's corporate coup of the means of production, we can all agree it radically changes the meta. No longer will the greatest Block Dragon deck ever conceived darken the halls of the format, taking up 100% of every top 8 since its inception. I'm speaking, of course, about Gem Knight FTK. Before we begin, apologies to any fans of pot sweetening, but I'm going to use this space for an announcement. Tomorrow, June 15th at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, I'll be doing a combined 25k celebration, Twitch partnership celebration, and birthday 24-hour stream for the Minnesota Freedom Fund. I'm going to be doing a lot of fun stuff with a lot of content creators and matching donations up to $500. Come by, it'll be a grand old time. So here's the list, and I literally cannot take credit for any of these choices. I was handed this list in an FTK spreadsheet with a ransom note. As always, I'll give you a background about the archetype, a little bit of a discussion about what I hope the deck can do, and of course, the card by card. But first, this video is sponsored by Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro Deck. Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro Deck is an online strategy site for our mutual favorite card game. It's got a deck builder, card database, and a wealth of strategy articles. It's also where I post the Quarantine series deck breakdowns, so give it a look at www.ygoprodeck.com. Now let's speculate about these solid rocks. While Adamancipator has positioned a target squarely on Block Dragon's head, its previous and most prolific use has, for the past few years, been as a combo piece in a deck that aims to play as little Yu-Gi-Oh! As possible. As the name suggests, Gem Knight FTK is a deck that, using the Gem Knight monsters, will burn your opponents to death before they've even had a turn to set up. It's extremely difficult to pilot, exhaustingly taxing, folds to most interaction, and makes Altergeist mirrors look exciting by comparison. Sorry, Doug. That said, given the state of the metagame and the likelihood of a Block Dragon ban in the next adjusted list, I figure we better take a look at these Legos before they're no longer available. If you're unfamiliar with Gem Knight FTK's combo lines, join the club. In general, by abusing the lack of a hard once per turn on cards like Crystal Rose, you can artificially keep enough gems in your hand to fire a GK fusion at any given time. After a shameful amount of playing with yourself, you'll end the combo with a Gem Knight Lady Lapis Lazuli who, with the full board, will burn for 3,000 points of damage. Now you can only summon 1 copy of Best Girl per turn, but that's no big deal. By sending one to the graveyard and summoning Master Diamond, you can burn for another 3,000. The last step is where it gets tricky, but with some creative use of Nightmare Unicorn some Spiral players might recognize, you can summon another Master and pop off one final time to completely outskill your opponent. Unintuitively, the FTK actually gets easier the more monsters your opponent controls. Obviously, playing through negates sucks, but since Lady counts all special summoned monsters for her burn effect, it's completely fine if you can't extend all the way to double master if you dome for 4k in activation. So with that, let's get into the card by card. Firstly, the normies. 3 Sapphire and 3 Lapis. Next are 3 of the one whomst goes brrrr, and 3 Exceed. We're also on 3 Rabbit, 3 Obsidian, 3 Rose, 3 Researcher, and 3 Lazuli. For spells, we're on triple Dia, triple GK Fusion, 2 Desires, because whoever made this list is a coward, a Reasoning, 2 Signs, Foolish, Reborn, triple Called, and a Midbreaker. We're also on a Brilliant Oh my god, did I forget to put in Brilliant Fusion? Anyway. In the extra, we're on Girl Diamond, Envy Diamond, Zirconia, Aquamarine, 2 Lady, Seraphonite, Gallant, Appaloosa, Curious, Unicorn, 2 Phantom, Cross Sheep, and Link Spider. So with that, let's jump into the games. Our first match is up against, well, I'll be completely honest with you, it doesn't really matter what we're up against since we aim to FTK. God, look at the hope in our opponent's hand. Yosenju's, Tempest, Speedroids? Okay, I have no idea what they were doing, but I'm sure it would have been interesting. Our hand's a little bit crusty, but can FTK, provided this Adamancipator researcher finds a Gem Knight. We'll activate its effect and find off the top. Okay, sweating a little bit. Okay. A Lazuli is fine. I would have preferred a normal monster, but we can always get that when we activate the effect of Phantom Quartz, as we already have the fusion in hand. We'll fire off this Foolish Burial to send a copy of Block Dragon to the graveyard, then special summon it back after making Cross Sheep, activating fusion and triggering both the effect of Block Dragon in the graveyard and the Cross Sheep on field. We'll bring back this copy of Lapis and add 3 cards from our deck to our hand before activating the graveyard effect of fusion and link summoning another Phantom Quartz. We'll go into a copy of Seraphinite here before activating the effect of Obsidian. Afterwards, we're going to fire off the graveyard effect of Crystal Rose. This card is just so obscenely powerful. We'll fire off fusion one more time to make a copy of Lady Lapis, and fire off Crystal Rose, turning it into a Lazuli and activating Lazuli's effect to get a Lapis back to hand. We'll activate the second effect of Phantom Quartz for a Brilliant Diamond and start burning. Lady is going to hit for 3k. We're next going to use Brilliant Diamond and Master Diamond to hit for another 3k, this time bidding a copy of Lazuli from deck so we can add a Lapis back to hand. From here we should be able to win. We're going to use fusion to put it back in our hand, go into Unicorn, discard the fusion because we have more in the graveyard to put back this copy of Master, return the fusion to the hand, fire off the fusion, get ourselves a copy of Master from the extra, special a copy of Block Dragon, and 2500 should be enough to cinch the game. Unfortunately, this deck does have a little bit of trouble on the draw against archetypes that put up multiple negates. Our opponent for round 2 is on 3-Axis Dragon Link, a very refreshing take on the strategy. They're going to lead with a special summoned copy of Junk Ford and a normal summoned Takatomborg. They'll go into a copy of Cherubini, bidding a copy of Carbiden, which will turn into a Hunter Dragon. After that, they're going to activate the effect of Striker Dragon, which will add a Boot Sector launch from the deck to the hand, summoning not 1, but 2 rockets from the grip. Following that, they will link summon a copy of Appaloosa, triggering the graveyard effect of Absurouter Dragon, and now that they're insulated from hand traps, it's LP time. LP will get a copy of Brotar. They'll activate the effect of Brotar, targeting Brotar to get a copy of Chaos Dragon Levineer, followed by a Pisty to bring back this copy of Tracer for later in the turn. They're going to link summon a copy of Romulus, turning them off summoning dragons, to get a copy of Ravine, then activate Ravine, discarding the Black Dragon Collapse Serpent in order to send a Galaxy. They'll use Levineer in order to rip, oh, the Researcher out of hand, we needed that, and go into a copy of Hope Harbinger. They'll activate the effect of Tracer and end on a Borreload Savage as well. They have 3 monster negates, 1 Omni negate, 1 spell negate, and battle protection. This is looking grim. We'll lead with a copy of Unexpected Die that fiends the Hope Harbinger. Afterwards, we'll fire off a copy of Foolish Burial, which fiends the Borreload Savage. All that's left is monsters. We'll normal summon a copy of Crystal Rose, that will fiend an Appaloosa negate, so we'll fire off a copy of Monster Reborn to get a monster that can walk over it. We'll proceed to battle phase, and then recall that Hope Harbinger has a second effect. Alright, time for the Shame Concede. So it's time for game 3, and you know what that means, a best of 3 versus meta. Our opponent's playing, Invoked Eldritch, and unfortunately, we have lost the die roll. Well, their hand doesn't include a single Eldritch card, so provided we can beat Macabre Pass, we might be able to do this. They're going to lead with a copy of Meltdown, adding an A-lister to hand. They'll normal summon the A-lister to add an invocation from deck to grip. Afterwards, they're going to link summon a copy of Almirage and Gardna before firing off the invocation, banishing the Gardna and the A-lister, and activating its graveyard effect with a Macabre on field. After that, they're going to, special summon a copy of Magician Souls and not Eldritch. Okay, Infip is bad, but it's not as bad as Golden City would have been. We can do this, provided we bait out the Macabre before we normal our Rescue Rabbit. We're going to go for a Link Spider, and then special summon a Parallel Exceed to Link Point. That's going to be able to make a rank 4. We're going to use Granite to get a copy of Block Dragon from deck to hand, and they are letting me get away with a lot here. We're going to go into Curious. Okay, there's 1 Infinite Impermanence. We just have to bait out the other. We're going to special summon a copy of Block Dragon and go into an Appaloosa. They will Ash the Block Dragon, will Appaloosa, but unfortunately, the Infip comes down. Well, we can't rightly normal summon Rescue Rabbit, so we'll go into Cross Sheep, bring back this copy of Block Dragon, and at the very minimum, walk into this Macabre, forcing the A-lister effect in hand so they can't recur it next turn. Macabre is all we have to beat from here. They draw a hand trap, we've got a turn to do it, they're going to walk over our Cross Sheep, but we don't have enough Earths in Graveyard to keep recurring this Block Dragon. We're going to set this copy of Called by the Grave and pass it back to our opponent. And they found the Cursed Eldland. Well, it was only a matter of time. They're going to normal summon a copy of Magician Souls. We can activate Call by the Grave to negate the effect of the Magician Souls, but we probably should have saved it for the Eldritch that's coming afterwards. They're going to activate the effect of Cursed Eldland, setting the big golden boy, popping the Haketo, and getting in for well over lethal. So it's time for game 2, and is it too much to ask for my opponent not to draw interaction? This hand is extremely crusty, but still has the possibility of doing it. We're going to lead with a copy of Crystal Rose. We'll fire off its effect, sending a vanilla to the graveyard. We don't have many left. Next, we're going to special summon a copy of Adamantipator Researcher and fire off its effect. It's gotta find something. And thankfully it does. Crystal Rose is okay. We're going to fire off Crystal Rose afterwards in order to send a copy of Lazuli to the graveyard and add the Sapphire back to hand. Next, we'll link summon a copy of Gemknight Phantom Quartz, and thank God our opponent didn't infip that. Next, we'll link summon a copy of Cross Sheep and activate Gemknight Fusion for an Aquamarine. We'll trigger the effect of Cross Sheep to bring back Lapis and go into Curious. We'll fire off both the effect of Aquamarine and the effect of Curious so that we can bin this copy of Block Dragon. We'll bring back the Block Dragon and go into Appaloosa. I'm feeling really good about this because what? Are they going to activate a hand trap that's not a monster effect? We'll go into Seraphinite and bring back this copy of Lapis. We'll use our extra normal on a Sapphire so we can make another Phantom Quartz, then banish this copy of Aquamarine in the graveyard in order to summon Crystal Rose. We'll activate the effect of Lazuli in graveyard and the effect of Fusion in graveyard to get it back to hand, and we'll fire off Fusion for a copy of Lapis Lazuli. We'll activate Fusion one more time before activating Phantom Quartz to get a Brilliant Diamond, and firing off Lapis. We'll burn our opponent for 3,000, and we are 5k away from winning this game. We'll go into Master, activate Master's effect, and... Okay, I see why they were holding it. We'll next activate the effect of Unicorn to put back Master. We'll activate Fusion's effect and bring back Block Dragon. We'll fire off Fusion. We do have enough to make Master again, which burns for 2k at least. It puts them at 3 and on a 1-turn clock. We do have a pretty powerful board regardless. Maybe we can do it. They're going to lead with a copy of Apprentice Illusion. Oh, and give up their battle phase to walk over Appaloosa. Shoot. Magician Souls in main phase 2 to draw 2 cards, and one of them is a Terraforming. Now, thankfully, that Magical Meltdown will get an A-lister, but they've already used their normal... Oh my god, I forgot to play around Anima. Okay, well, there goes one of my threats. They're going to special summon a copy of Eldritch, but as long as I can out the Eldritch and the Conquistador, which is virtually useless thanks to Block Dragon, I think I might be able to take this. We'll fire Signs. Signs is going to bring back Crystal Rose. We'll fire Crystal Rose and send a copy of Lazuli to the graveyard, getting the Lapis back to hand. We'll activate Fusion once again to go into a copy of Aquamarine, normal summon a copy of Lapis, and link summon a copy of Phantom Quartz. We'll use the graveyard effect of Aquamarine to bounce this copy of Eldritch, and this should be the end of the game. We'll special summon this copy of Crystal Rose and bring the Fusion back to hand. We'll activate Phantom Quartz, putting a bunch of stuff in the banished zone back in the extra before activating Gemini Fusion to go into Lapis Lazuli and firing her effect, doming our opponent for the remainder. So it's time for that all-important Game 3, and... oh boy. Our opponent's going first, which is terrible news. I thank the Lord that they continue to draw so poorly, but it looks like they're going to end on between 4 and 5 pieces of interaction. Our hand is fantastic, but it might not be able to beat this. Our opponent's going to lead with a copy of Magician Souls. They'll special summon it from their hand before activating its second effect, pitching 2 Conquistador, and drawing into Cursed Eldland. Okay. From here, they're going to get a copy of Conquistador to hand, go into Linkaribo, and proceed to end step, at which point they will set a copy of Scarlet Sanguine. My Kingdom for an Ash Blossom. For turn, we draw a copy of Sapphire. We'll normal summon this Sapphire and go into Link Spider. Then we'll Scarlet Sanguine here, getting an Eldritch to field. We'll activate Link Spider's effect, special summoning a Gemini Lapis, and going into Cross Sheep. We'll fire off the Fusion. They'll chain Conquistador very prematurely, and we're able to go into Zirconia. Afterwards, we'll activate Obsidian's effect to bring back Sapphire, and Fusion's effect to add it back to the hand before link summoning Phantom Quartz. Our opponent effect Veilers, but we already have access to the Fusion, and both of these effects trigger independently. I'm not going to call, I have better plans. We'll activate the effect of Crystal Rose and add this normal monster back to hand by way of Lazuli before activating the second effect of Phantom Quartz and getting a Seraphinite. We'll extra normal a Sapphire and go into Curious. Our opponent ashes, we called, yes! That's what I was scared of, and now we have access to Block Dragon. We might just be able to do this. We'll activate Curious's effect, followed by Block Dragons. We'll summon from the graveyard and go into Appaloosa. We'll activate Block Dragon's effect, refilling our hand and firing off a Gemini Fusion afterwards, making a Lady Lapis Lazuli extremely early. We're going to activate Obsidian's effect, not an HOPT by the way, before going into an Adamancipator Researcher, and truthfully, it doesn't matter what we find, but still a bit of a slap in the face to whiff. Alright, afterwards we're going to go ahead and activate the graveyard effect of Gemini Fusion, and special summon this Block Dragon back again, activating the effect of Lady to do 4k, and then Lazuli to add this copy of Lapis back to hand. We will fuse one more time into Master, and I believe Master is just about exactly lethal. So we're back with the deck, and wow. I didn't expect to take a set off the best deck of the format, but my opponent bricking to infinity certainly helped. Let's do the pros and cons. First, the pros. 1, it's I know the meme is alluring, but it's not precise. It's not consistent because it doesn't draw hands that do the same line very frequently, but it is consistent insofar as most hands do FTK. 2, it's actually not terrible going second. Sure, there are choke points, but they vary from hand to hand, they matter less when Lady hits for 6k on her own, and your opponent isn't operating with perfect information. And 3, it's challenging. I know that sounds crazy for a deck that plays 2 turns a match, but every hand is like a little puzzle to figure out how to win. And the cons. 1, it doesn't play well through hand traps. You don't have the wiggle room on Burn, Blind, Firsting, and a well-timed Ash or Nibiru pre-Appaloosa can pretty much end the game. 2, it isn't really playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Per se. It's kind of like playing Solitaire. And that's fine for people who like Solitaire, but not great if you want, like, interaction. And 3, it will be completely hosed for the sins of Adamancipator. Block Dragon, I love ya, but I can hear the coffin dancers in the distance. All in all, this is an extremely difficult deck to play, and an even harder one with which to win. That said, if you want to play it, get your reps in now, because it's going to be way harder this September. So that's that. As always, thanks to my patrons, Meepmoto27, Tamamo Bay, Dominic Ernst, Alex Perea, Candyman, Crispy, Mika Reichman, Olympus, Sir Tachyon, Stevie Blunder, Tyler Slacks, Tyrese Biggums IV, Andrew Horseman Linderman, Austin Zell, Chad Bortz, Presley Cason IV, Moira Brownwolf, Angry Bread, Lucky Number 5, Amid Elefandi, Nick Extreme 99, Miyuna Arashi, Jason Leonard, Andrew Boyko, Dunkoro, Nix Dolores, Marty Caldwell, Blue Boy, Shane Meadow Edits Pronga, David Daniels, Red Eyes, Arkhand, Jose Luis Cortez, Yuri's Best, Meds for Feds, Josh, CJ Alex, Darcy Tevs, Mitchell Cook, Sam Soon, Kurokaze, Chorps Away, Haruf, Jane Linya, Lucas Hansen, Algis Marcin Kavicius, Lavender Lemonade, Zach McKee, Gustavo Secon, Siberian Rabbit, Pro FP2, Gamer Games, Michael Oskavarik, Dan the Man Hoban, Billy Williams, Connor Kid, Dive Missile, Mike Carlotti, This Machine 237, Chibi Gohan, Bleb, Blake Root, Standards Objective, Jeff Leonard, Emperor Stove, TJ Steakhouse, Pro Yugi Dad, Picnic Blasted, Lawrence, Gel Du Rado, Ernesto Ibarra, Fighting Fangwong, Donnie Fillerup, Isaac Jackson, Second, Lucas Geardas, Adam Trevino, Adrian Bra, Andrew Benson, Distrin, and this last one that I can't pronounce. Well, I tried my hardest. If you're interested in seeing more videos like this one, please consider subscribing. And if you want to be part of the process, consider following me on Twitch as well. See you next time.